With our 30% reserves and our revenues over expenditures, we're still in very good shape this year for our budget. What we have also done, because we did not get grant funding for the outdoor classroom project, we have moved that to the FY 2013 budget, which freed up some money in this year's CIP for that as well. So if you look at overall for FY 12 general fund budget, our overall revenues are just slightly over $7 million. Our expenditures are right around let's see, $5.7 million to give us a total revenues over expenditures of $1.276 million for the FY12 budget. With that, we have also added some information. I know the board had mentioned and wanted some additional information regarding the CAT, Knoxville Area Transit service, with some of the park and ride usage statistics that we had taken up over the last year. So those have been included for you as well. And with that, I'll be happy to try to answer any questions, or I know some staff's here as well, and they'll be happy to answer any questions as well.
This is a real small item. I just don't remember what it was. This general fund revenue solar panel rebate, where does that come from?
That's actually the solar panels at McPhee Park. Originally, they were sending us rebate checks, but now they're just deducting it from those individual bills coming from LCUB. So we are getting that, but it's just in the form of a reduction in our cost on electricity through the individual bill.
I do, hopefully this is the right time to make it. I made a rookie mistake the last meeting. I had raised the concern, or I guess it is concern. I really feel strongly about the $40,000 that we've allocated to CAT. Again, I'm fine with the roughly $15,000 that we have set aside for the public parking. But, you know, looking at the usage numbers here, and from what I've seen before, I really would, I'm going to make a motion. I'm going to move that we take that $40,000, allocate $10,000 towards the soon-to-be established Hardin Valley Academy Foundation, take the remaining $30,000 and allocate that $6,000 apiece additional to the 5 schools that serve this community. I would dare say that with what we're doing as a community, I doubt anybody would ever come here at this point in time and ask about public transportation, but everybody asks about schools. And when we're looking at the $40,000 of roughly a minimum of $750 a person, where if we take that money and give it to students, it averages out to a little over $7 a student. That $40,000 would be much better for that. So my motion is on the floor, and I would like this board to give that serious consideration.
Disagree with you in a way, Mr. Honkin, because I do think it does provide some benefit to some of the people that live in Farragut. I would hate to totally take the full amount of $40,000 away. I wouldn't mind reducing the amount, but to take the full amount away at this time, I don't think it would be the right thing to do.
I had some questions to clarify. I wasn't sure to ask. The information was provided to us, and appropriate time to raise that question.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. The Farragut ridership seems to indicate it's kind of a small chart here. I'm not sure. It looks like it's under 1,000. Is that just the number of rides in a year, or is that for the month, or is that people, an actual count of bodies that get on and off that thing?
The chart that you have in your packet, the number of passengers is the actual number of trips per month, total trips. If you think about a passenger, they're usually taking a trip there and a trip back. So the number of riders is actually just that number of passengers divided by 2. So when you look at Farragut ridership, the chart in front of you is actually based on the number of passengers. So it's based on the total trips taken.
So for May of 11, it looks like it's under 1,000. It appears to be. That's the number of trips. So would it be fair to say you're translating this to mean 500 people took this bus?
For May,
the month.
that's correct. 463 people, roughly, would have rode the bus that month. So it's an average of about 11 riders per bus.
Now, just a point of clarity on that, if you had 11 people going down and back on each of those buses, that would be considered 44 riders for that day. So if you take that times 20 days in a month, you're talking at the most 30 people that are utilizing this service. It's not 463. It's a number of people that are on that bus times the number of trips, as David said.
In asking that question, of the actual number of people that use this service per month, I mean, individuals, not counting trips and all that good stuff, but just numbers of bodies that come through this on a monthly basis. It seems like the average is fairly steady, so Alderman Honkin is sharing a figure. I mean, is that correct interpretation? I'm just looking at a chart here. I honestly don't know.
I think it's a good inference, what Alderman Honkin is making. Obviously, the same people tend to ride the bus every day. They would take up a lot of the majority of that number. Do we know for sure? No, because we don't have the actual statistics on who gets on the bus every day. But I think you probably could infer that. It's the same folks using it just about every day or every other day, however often they need to get on and get downtown.
Question on the park and ride. We had some discussion in the past about the TVA employee usage of that and possibly eliminating spaces for anybody else who might want to use it since it's pretty crowded or filled up. Any additional thoughts on this? It looks like, looking at this chart, if you could kind of translate this to me, how many spaces we have and what does this indicate? It looks like we're pretty full.
Well, first of all, I'll give kudos to our engineering department. We asked them last year to start going out and counting cars a couple times a week, and they kept doing it for the last year and giving us this data. So we've got a pretty good idea of the number of people that are utilizing the park and ride every month. What we've seen is an increase in that usage over the last, especially four months, I'd say, as gas prices got higher. I think it also probably coincides with TVA having their little park and ride that they take up for them. I think that Mr. Palmer had spoken with some folks that utilize the bus, and they had actually been talking to TVA about reducing the number of van loads that they take from that site in order to free up some parking for bus riders. So, again, I don't think we've spoken directly with TVA, but I know that they are working with some of the bus riders in trying to maybe alleviate some of their van loads that they take.
The question posed with Alderman Honkin's motion, if we pull out the CAT dollars and just leave it with, I'm assuming, does anybody else use this besides CAT people and TVA people that we're aware of?
There could definitely be there could be carpooling heading to downtown or Oak Ridge or wherever the case may be. We see cars from Loudoun County, mostly from Knox County, but Loudoun, Harriman, different places like that too. So you definitely have some folks that may get here and then meet each other and then head on downtown or wherever they're heading from there. Would the number go down if we did not have CAT? It probably would to some degree, but I could not tell you again the exact number of vehicle spaces that would be lost from that.
That's also a trailhead parking lot for the Grigsby Chapel Greenway.
Yep.
In terms of that lease again, it's how much a year we're paying for that space for how many years?
Yeah, it's roughly $14,000 for the lease for the 55 spots. We have a contract that's renewed annually unless we decide to forego that.
Calendar year?
I think it's a November to November.
Okay.
So if we did decide to not pay the park and ride, then obviously we would need to know that pretty soon so we could let the property owner know that.
Point of clarity, I'm not advocating, my motion does not include the park and ride. Mine is just reallocating the $40,000 that is given directly to CAT, so.
Seems to me like that should probably be two motions. One to basically defund CAT, and one to place the money somewhere else. That's just my opinion, but a little cleaner that way. But we have a motion on the floor.
What is the question again, sorry to interrupt, Mr. Mayor, about with the CAT, did we hear anything back from them? I mean, $40,000, Vice Mayor Lamarche made a comment about reducing that. I mean, is it an all or nothing kind of deal? It's either 40,000 with service or 40,000 or zero with, or anything less than that's no service.
I think we've contacted CAT. I think anything less than 40,000 would be difficult for them to. They'd have to make a decision on their end of things and whether or not they'd be willing to still send the bus out here for whatever level of funding that is. Of course, 40,000. I think they have that generally in their budget, and I think they'd be willing to continue the bus service for that. Other than, I just can't give you a clear answer. We'd have to let them know what that number is, and then they'd have to make a determination from there.
And I would reiterate, keep in mind, we're subsidizing this somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 a person. We'd be better, and I will tell you, I've not seen anybody walk to the bus. Everybody that got on the bus that day drove to the bus. It'd be cheaper for us to go down and buy them all a $500 Kroger gas card than to subsidize $1,000 to $2,000. And I'm all for public transportation. I use public transportation. But this just seems like an extreme amount on a per-person basis.
The other thing that's interesting on the statistic is with the rise in gas prices, there's not been an appreciable increase in numbers of riders, which is kind of interesting. One would have reasonably thought that would have climbed appreciably.
Like, again, I think it would be a cleaner decision to take these and split them into two motions.
Well, I'll remove my original motion from the floor then, and I will follow the mayor's suggestion. And my first motion then will be to remove the $40,000 allocated towards CAT in this upcoming budget.
Any discussion? Second. But I'll second it just so we can have a vote on it. So the vote is to remove the 40,000. I mean, the motion is to remove the 40,000, place it somewhere else. And so now it's time to vote. Call the
Alderman
roll.
Elliott. Alderman Elliott.
No.
Alderman Honkin. Yes. Alderman Lamarche.
No.
Mayor McGill.
Yes. Okay, we have a standoff. That's no action.
Right, Mayor, technically the motion fails for lack of, or for a tie in the place of a tie. So in essence, the 40,000 for CAT is still in the budget.
I would like to make a different motion at the same time then. I would move that we add $10,000 to the budget and have